Morning. Ba-da. Let's see if Bubble Man gets copyrighted. Yeah. I bet it won't. Good morning, one and all. I have some breaking news for those of you who come here for the pre-show, which sometimes gets copyrighted by Twitch, depending on what music they think should or shouldn't be allowed. So, for many of you who know, I am hair impaired. I've been losing my hair since, like, I was 16. My brother, too, my older brother, same kind of scenario with him going on there. Kind of sucks. So I always see myself from, like, this perspective, right? Like, I never really see these parts of my head. I'm always looking at myself from this on. And from this port on, I think I look pretty damn good. I think I'm a handsome mofo, not gonna lie. But I have recently seen some pictures of me interacting with PJ where I see this part of it, and oh my god, this looks bad. This part looks really bad. So, I've always had hair, like, I've always been wearing hair. I've always had hair around. But yesterday, I went to my wife, who's been cutting my hair ever since we started dating back freshman year of college, and I was like, it's time. So we just buzzed this with no guard, like all around. And I'm just like fully committing to the bald bit. And I like it. It feel good. I took a shower last night, felt the water splash against my head. It felt weird. My head got cold last night. I'm gonna have to get one of those little sleep socks, like a little sleeping hat to keep my little head warm at night. But now, for those of you who make bald jokes, I am mostly bald now. I mean, you can still feel the little things there. I'm not like completely bald, but it's time. Like, I saw, like, man, like, it was looking pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. It was looking really bad. Just chop all of that off. Getting a new tattoo Wednesday. I'm gonna get a right here on the forearm. Finished out the half sleeve all the way around. Finished that out last month. After this one, probably gonna put a pause on tattoos for a bit. I already know where I would want to get another one. I'd like to get one somewhere on my right leg. Probably like the calf area, maybe like a half sleeve eventually. But I have no idea what I would want to get. But yeah, that's my body update for those of you who are curious. How are you guys doing? Your kid's got a salad, Falco. I think salad is the official term. Your kid's a salad head. Your kid's hair looks like a Muppet. Like, your kid belongs on Sesame Street with the hair that he has. That is insane. And of course, nobody here knows what I'm talking about because they don't see the pictures I did, but your kid's hair looks like it's not of this planet. And it's so weird because PJ's blonde, like, you can't see it. You can hardly see any of his hair until he was like a year old and it started growing out more. And when we give him haircuts, it's like just gold on the ground. This is like so weird to look at. I'm not getting a Play Low Ink tattoo on me. No, I'm not doing that. I get tattoos that have like some. I get tattoos that I can at least explain to everybody. I do have a Popgun on my arm, which for the people at work, it just has some. It's just a toy gun, you know. I'm actually a podcaster / TO for this game on Nintendo. You might have heard of. I'd never do that. Yeah, it looks cool. Tattoos are awesome. If you got I got a tattoo guy. My wife, she gets a different person based off of whatever it is that she wants. So like she'll have a vision in mind, and then she'll go out and find the artist to match the vision. I just have a tattoo guy, and I just send my, like, hey, here's where I want it, and this is what I want. And he's like, gotcha, when can you come in? Will the podcast always be a live show? Yeah, for sure. I've thought about the idea of just like, there's been a couple of times where it's like, I have things I want to say, but I don't want to do a full hour show. But I think for what I'm trying to do here, having a live chat works out better, especially now that I'm doing the taking your call segment a lot more. But yeah, as long as the Popcast is around, I envision this being the live show. Unless I started doing stuff with like what Cactus does, which is just like have a guest on. Like Gus had a podcast where Gus just had guests on, would do it whenever the guest is available, record it, and then release it later. I like having the live show. And this is almost 275 episodes. I've just gotten so good at doing this live, where, and honestly, I've kind of gotten lucky that I've gone this far without like any issues, because like, if I went on somebody else's podcast, if somebody went on Gus's podcast, it just went on a crazy racist political rant, like Gus could just edit all of that out. If that happened on my show, which is live right here, that's just it. That's just it for the Popcast. So like, all right, we're closing up shop. That just got out everywhere. But I've gotten really good at doing this live for a long time. I figured I'd keep doing it. Why do you ask? This was the first tattoo I got, and that's just because I don't like having a ring on. So I was like, well, I'll just get my wife's L on there. And then after this, it was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I want another one. And now I'm just like slowly becoming Birdman from the NBA. Thoughts on the Switch 2? That's the whole episode, Epic Pikachu. Would you want me to spoil the script 2 minutes before it starts? Oh, Cactus Patch, yeah. Well, Cactus Patch is a live show, too. I don't know if Cactus will, like, reference the audience during it. If you're going to do a live show, you should at least include the audience somewhat, which is hilarious coming from me because I've historically never paid attention to chat, but I've always had the leave a highlighted message, I'll interact with it when I get back to it. Someone to yap about equipment for lands? Don't worry, Fusion. That is covered. It's around this portion. That is covered. Thought maybe I'd talk about LUTI. We'll talk about LUTI a little bit. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, it'll be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube. While you are getting yelled at by your mom, not realizing your Switch 2 webcam is on, trying to schedule 3 matches for LUTI Makeup Week, putting a tariff on an island inhabited only by penguins. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Usually, we come on here after every week of LUTI week and talk about Division X. It has been an exciting season so far for one group and a kicking a snail, please do something for the other group. I have nothing to report on Division X because of all 6 matches that could have been played this week. Not a single one was actually played. Not a single one. Everybody took week 5 off and said, we'll just do it during the makeup week. Screw it. I mean, fair enough. As I talked about last week, Group A is already done, essentially. Like, none of the matches in week 5 were going to affect anything. The only match that still has any meaning in Group A is the Moonlight versus Life Vest set, which was pushed back to the makeup week anyway. So, okay, like, I don't really care if anything's played in Group A. Group B is a mess. There are a lot of important matches that have yet to be played. Manshine and ST Win are currently 2-0 right now, mixed in with Mickey Mouse Club, and one of them has to not make the playoffs. So there's a lot of matches that have to be played in the span of a week in Group B. And ST Win has no choice but to play all of those matches because the 3 matches they have that they're up against are against 3 teams that are eligible to make the playoffs. Vacation still has a chance to make the playoffs if some shenanigans were to happen. So ST Win couldn't be in a scenario where they're like, okay, we're like, we don't have to play this set, or maybe this team will just forfeit because they're not playing for anything. No, everyone ST Win has to play is still playing for a playoff spot. So how are we going to see Keo and Chara and friends play 3 matches of LUTI this week? Why not just do it all at once? Just do it all at once. Have it the Group X gauntlet. Why not? Just do it all on a Sunday. Well, actually, there's things going on this weekend, so maybe not. Overall, though, there's a lot of matches that have to be played across all the divisions, obviously. I'm not doing a top 5 matches to pay attention to this week because I don't know who's dropped, who's actually going to play, who even cares at this point. It's been over a month. So I don't know what all is actually going to get played during the makeup week. And I also don't know what the deadline is. If they're going to be like midnight at Monday, if you haven't got this done, we're just going to coin flip it, or we're just going to like give the win to whoever. I have no idea how any of that works. So I don't know. It's makeup week. Enjoy. I would like to see the Moonlight versus Life Vest set at some point. Maybe that'll be on the Falco 5-9 at Falco channel, Splatoon tourney. Maybe it won't be, but that's the one set I would actually care about. The other ones, I mean, there's like obviously playoff spots still on the line, and we'll talk about the sets that did actually play last week in the weekly recap, a rather beefy weekly recap when we get to it. But overall, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and it's hard to tell what is and isn't important. Congratulations is in order for Triton Cup, which reached its 100th edition of its tournament this past Friday. Congratulations to the Triton Cup staff. I believe that is Pinky and et al., who is a part of that. Obviously, Dapple Productions. We'll talk about it more in the weekly recap, but I wanted to just kind of give them a bit of a shout out there. 100 editions of a bi-weekly tournament. That takes a long time, and it's a solid tournament. A lot of teams played in it this past weekend. I was kind of joking last week about how, I joined Dapple Productions as the April Fool joke. In all seriousness, if IPL went bankrupt or went under, I probably wouldn't retire. I'd probably go to Dapples and knock on their door and be like, hey, do you guys got room for a mid-30s balding American over there? Like, I'm being full stop, I believe is the correct phrase people use nowadays. Dapple Productions does a fantastic job. They got a lot of passion for this scene, and can't say enough good things about them. But they're not us, so unfortunate. News of tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. Gamers for Giving is this upcoming weekend. It is a joint tournament from Dapple Productions and IPL. It is a charity tournament. Let me get the actual blurb here that I should be reading instead of just the coming up with things off the top of my head. IPL is teaming up with Dapple Productions to provide you with the quality Splatoon 3 tournament you have come to expect, all while helping out a good cause. Before and during this event, anyone is able to donate towards the campaign, with our goal being to raise $1,000 to help bring the joy of gaming to hospitalized children and their families. The tournament is going to take place over the course of this weekend. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday. Round 1 starting at 1 o'clock at both times. The tournament is currently on start.gg. I might get switched over to Sindao.inc at some point, maybe while this episode is live, who knows, but be on the lookout for that. Regardless, go to Sindao.inc. You see it's already listed up there. And go ahead and start signing up for it just so that the TOs can start planning for things. But I know how you guys operate. You're going to wait till Friday to throw everything together. But there you go. That is the big tournament going on this weekend. Today, we're going to be taking your calls. We're going to be talking about the Switch 2. And if you want to talk about LUTI stuff, go right ahead. Somebody on Blue Sky. Well, can I talk about seeding or the playoffs or the matches or what? Yes, I don't care. If you want to come on here and talk about Splatoon, then come on here and talk about Splatoon. Just don't come on here and talk into your pillow or just say, hey, Popgun, do you know who I am? That's weird. Don't be weird. As long as you're not weird, I don't give a flying flip what you want to talk about here on the Popcast. Now, some of you really push that weird button. Some of you really push against that weird kind of category. You're like toeing the line there. Let's bring a few toes back. Let's get a few toes behind that line today. Let's make that our goal. All that and more. But first, Keon, you couldn't be weird even if you tried. I love directs. I really do love directs. I think they're cool. Very rarely have I walked away from a direct being like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a bunch of video games. Like, no, just like seeing stuff and seeing everyone's reactions to it has always been one of the highlights for me. I also like how there's so many artists, like actual artists, who frame one of seeing something that they didn't know existed 2 seconds ago have already created this full-blown masterpiece scale of art that they're ready to post on social media. Like, that's always cool to see. The Wednesday morning, I had that off. I always work evenings on Wednesdays. I got into a VC with Destiny troops, and we just had a little Destiny troop watch party. It's cool for me because, as I've talked about before, most of my Destiny troop teammates back when we were a thing, they were all teenagers while I was in my mid-30s. So we're in like we're in different generations. The first video game I remember was the original NES. The first video game most of my teammates remember is the Wii and the Wii U, which is like mind-boggling for me. But we see directs in a different way. They were getting excited about Silk Song and the other games that were just kind of like passively mentioned. I was getting excited about Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube. It's like, whoa, Soul Calibur 2, I forgot about that game. It's been like 20 years since I played that sucker. Everything looked cool. I mean, the Switch 2 looks pretty dope, not gonna lie. It looks like a modern, super-powered Switch. I mean, yeah, I'm sold. I'm convinced that's something I would like to get. I guess it does everything that you would want a modern game to do. Me, personally, I'm pretty simple. As long as I can play NES, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, like, I'm fine. Like, I'm currently replaying Ocarina of Time right now. As long as I got a console that does that, I'm pretty happy. And it seems like this console does that. So, cool. That's awesome. There were no real games that were announced that made me go like, oh, I got to get this day one. Absolutely. I'm not really a Mario Kart fan. I'm a Nintendo 64 Mario Kart, I'll play all day long. But playing Mario Kart against you sweaties online is not fun. because I don't win. And if I don't win, I'm not going to play something. I do like the idea of it being, you can go anywhere. Like, what? Like, you could just, like, where that little cloud guy always says, like, hey, you need to go back, or, like, forces you back onto the track. You can just F off anywhere across the map. Like, I'm not going to win this, so I'm just going to go off east somewhere. I'm just going to go explore the far off distant world. Like, okay, okay, cool. I'll do that, I guess. It does, but it does look really cool. The Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong 64 too. Like, I'd be interested in that. Where's Chunky Kong? Where's Lanky Kong? Where's Diddy Kong? Instead, we get Hillbilly Donkey Kong out of somewhere. Like, okay, cool. Looks awesome, though. I might be interested in playing that at some point. More excited about the GameCube games. Wish there were more than just 3 that were going to be out at launch, but you look at the titles that are coming out, and it's like, okay, cool. Can we throw some Star Fox Assault in there? Can we get some Twilight Princess in there, maybe? Could we get Melee in there? They'll never do that. Could you imagine if they put Melee in? Yeah, they haven't even put Smash 64 in the N64 online thing, but the GameCube thing was pretty cool. Was not expecting that. Also, Nintendo invented Discord. How about that? So instead of just using my phone and computer, I can have my Switch also be the voice chat and the video feed of whoever, like if I want to look at their face when they're getting frustrated because they got splatted behind a wall or something. Like, cool, that's awesome. Do I think anybody's going to use that for competitive? No, absolutely not. As soon as that thing's going to come out, it's going to be buggy as all get out. So it's going to take some time before it's not horrible. And as I'm using my Switch for gaming and competitive Splatoon, I don't want my Switch doing anything but just that. Let my phone or my computer handle the voice chat or the video or anything else like that. My Switch just needs to focus on not freaking out when I'm playing in a competitive Splatoon match. That's all I want my Switch doing. Do I think other people, like, I don't really see myself ever using the Nintendo voice chat, unless like I meet somebody through the Switch. But I think most people will just stick with Discord anyway. Still, it's a cool feature. It's probably something the PlayStation and Xbox offer already. I don't know. I never really pay attention to those things, but cool. It's a cool feature, but it's also made obsolete by, Discord and everything else. And I really don't need to see my teammates 10 FPS screen share as it's going on. Like, I get the gist of where they should be on my own. I don't need to do that. I also don't like, is it going to take up a huge portion of the screen? Like, that's what it showed in the demo. Like, I can't play competitive with my personal view being just like a tiny, or not a tiny portion, but being a minimized portion so that I could see like the faces of my teammates. I don't need that. That's not going to help me at all. But there you go. As we're going through the Direct, I couldn't help but notice they didn't show the price. It's like, that can't be a good thing. Usually when your price is pretty good and people are going to be happy about it, you like show it immediately. Remember that E3 when I think it was PlayStation 4, when they were like, hey, we're going to be $100 cheaper than the Xbox. Just punched you right in your face with like, this is our price and we're cheaper than Xbox. They win. You win E3. I don't need to see anything else. Congratulations. Here's my money. You beat them. They're going to be gone forever. But nope, Nintendo didn't. Nintendo did not show you anything about the price. And, well, we found out later it's going to be 450 schmackaroonies here on the stateside. And I know there's Canadians and EU folks in chat. I don't know the difference between your prices and our shenanigans that we have going on. Obviously, we're trying to destroy the entire planet right now, so there's a lot more to it than just that. But $450 for American prices, that is a lot. that is a significant number that they're out there. If you want to bundle in Mario Kart, it's $500, which makes Mario Kart a little bit cheaper. I get it, but still, that's a good chunk of change. The game prices are well, they are what they are. They're more expensive than what they have been in the past. The $79.99 kind of range for some of those games is. Let me just speak as an old person here. I remember when we brought home a Super Nintendo from Toys R Us. And it came bundled with Mario World and Super Mario Kart. And just being blown away at how that game functioned. This was before the N64 was even a thing. And video games have always been like $49.99, like $50. And I even looked online and I found this receipt of somebody who bought Super Mario Brothers 3 back in 1990 for $49.99 plus tax. Like video games, even in the NES days, have always been $50. And it's always kind of blown my mind how, despite inflation and 30 years of time passing and technology increasing, like the amount of people who worked on Mario 3 must have been a fraction of the size of people that worked on any game that came out on the Switch, like an actual AAA title, an actual Nintendo made game that came out on the Switch. And yet they're still roughly the same price as Mario 3 was when it came out 35 years ago. And that blows my mind. So I think it's more so, from my perspective, I'm not happy that the game prices are going up, but I'm also kind of thankful that it took them this long to come up with the idea of, hey, maybe we should charge more for this. Like maybe the price isn't meeting like what we're kind of looking for right here. And so be it. Again, I'm not sitting here justifying it. I'm not saying I'm happy about it, but I'm just kind of thankful it's at least taken this long for prices to increase. And I guess it kind of makes sense, though, that things have been kind of stagnant, because I think about VHS tapes. Do you guys even know what, some of you probably don't even know what a VHS is. I don't know what a Betamax is, or a Betamax, whatever. But a VHS player, like back in the day, like you had to be an oligarch basically to own one of those things. And now it's like cheaper than what a Blu-ray player would have been when it first came out. Like eventually things just get cheaper over time. If you had an iPhone when I was in high school, your parents were loaded. Now everybody just has an iPhone. I went into the Apple store, not the Apple store. I went to AT&T, and they just basically just like shoved Apple iPhones down your face for free and said, like, we're going to make your bill cheaper. Come back. It's so weird how all of that works. But the price point being higher is an issue when it comes to competitive Splatoon. Of course, things have changed, though, obviously from the price point perspective on our side of the world. Tariffs happened. And I'll be honest, when I first saw the $450, I thought that was the tariff price. I was like, oh, it's so expensive because tariffs are in place. Nope, that was the actual intended Nintendo price all along. We haven't even seen what the tariff price tag is going to be on that sucker. Pre-orders are something you cannot do in the States right now for the Switch 2, and tariffs have been listed as a direct correlation as to why that is taking place. Oh boy. So who knows what the actual price of this thing is going to be. Side note, if you think video games are the only thing that's going to be affected by tariffs, bless your sheltered little heart. Our whole world is about to be flipped upside down if it hasn't already. Things suck. And video games is going to be the least of our worries. I understand that. And I know that a lot of you like to come to shows like this and like to use competitive Splatoon as a way to escape from politics. I 100% understand that. Well, guess what? There is no escape from it, unfortunately. Well, I don't pay attention to politics. I just go out and fish and I'll just take care of things that just don't affect me. All right, Bubba. You enjoy that for as long as you can, and bless your heart. I hope you continue to do just that, but this is the reality of things. But This is a competitive Splatoon podcast, so since it relates to us, we'll continue to talk about it, how it relates to us. How it relates to your 401k, don't worry about it. The sun will explode long before any of you are going to retire anyways. It's all right. So here we go. I have concerns about the future of the competitive Splatoon scene just based off of some of these prices alone, because I think it's going to lead to an accessibility issue when we eventually switch over from Splatoon 3 to Splatoon 4 at some point in the future. I talked about how the Splatoon 3 transition was an easy thing to do because the Splatoon 3 came out after the pandemic. Everybody had bought a Switch for Animal Crossing. Everybody already had the hardware, so all you had to do was just get a brand new game, either a digital copy or hardware, whatever you chose. Everybody could just start playing Splatoon 3 day one. In fact, we did a LAN tournament from Splatoon 3 in day one, and it was pretty rough. No, Falco, the Target did have it on sale. That's where I got mine. Just don't, Best Buy just wasn't prepared for it. Fair enough. Now, I mean, I say the Splatoon 3 transition was easy. I mean, there's still bugs with the game. You remember Salmon Run? Those little sock puppet monsters just like teleporting all over the place. You literally could not play Salmon Run for like the first week when the game came out. The meta was machine and splash only. I think Oro Jackson ran a triple machine one splash comp and sometimes would just say, F it, we're going to run quads machine and we're just going to win a tournament with that. So it's not like the transition. That's not what I mean when the transition was easy. I mean accessibility wise. The transition from Splatoon 2 to 3 was very easy. And I'm not sitting here talking about Splatoon 4. Obviously, it wasn't mentioned at all or even hinted at the Direct. The only Splatoon stuff they showed was how you could use the Nintendo voice chat feature with Splatoon 3 overlays. That's the only thing we got. So obviously, if there's going to be a Splatoon 4, it's a couple years down the line at least. Like we would have to get a teaser trailer and then be like, next year it's coming out after that. So we're a good chunk of time away from that. And it not being a launch title is great. It really is great because people are going to need to get a copy of the Switch too before, like, people are going to need to be comfortable and in a place to where they can actually afford to get that thing. Because if it's going to be $650, $700, whatever the price may be, that's a high barrier of entry when you include the new controller you might need to get, the new game that you might need to get on top of that as well. It's going to start adding up really quickly, even for those of us who have full-time jobs and can afford some of that stuff. You know, who knows if we're going to be in a situation to where maybe I should just be saving up my money for the rest of my life until if I actually want to retire. Maybe I can't splurge on something like that. But that's a couple of years down the road. The awkward thing is how this all Switch 2 nonsense affects competitive Splatoon today. If you were a LAN TO, you probably were not super happy with how with the lack of information that you got from the Direct. And, well, MomoCon's not going to be that much different, but Get On My Level is going to be the first tournament where there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered. And, of course, someone, Frame One, as soon as the Direct was over, went to the Riptide help desk and asked this question that we all know we were going to have, but of course nobody's going to have the answer to, so why even ask it? Can you bring a Switch 2 and play Splatoon 3 on it at a LAN? Of course the TOs are going to be like, but I can give you the answer to that question. And this is me giving you the answer. I haven't talked to any of the LAN TOs, both on the local side or on the major Splatoon, like Riptide, Get On My Level, MomoCon side. I haven't talked to any of them. This is just me taking some time to think about from what I've seen how LANs operate and from what I know from the Directs themselves, like what is to come with these things. There is no way we are going to be using Switch 2s in competitive Splatoon LANs for Splatoon 3. There's no way. It's absolutely not going to happen. The reason being is the docks. It seems pretty obvious that the Switch 2 is not going to work in a Switch 1 dock because it doesn't have that built-in fan. And I haven't seen anything that would suggest the Switch 1 would work in a Switch 2 dock. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll point out how that doesn't matter in a moment anyways. So you can't have... Now, some of you are going to be saying, well, can't you just switch out the docks if that's the only issue? It's so hard to keep people in the lobbies with everything being Switch 1 right now. In a LAN station with a dock, you have 3 cables connected to it. You got the LAN cable, you got the HD output cable, and you got the power source. You can't just unplug all 3 of those things, put down a brand new dock, plug all 3 of those things in, and assume that everything else at that table is going to be cool with what you just did. And that there's not going to be one thing that's got thrown off because of that, and it delays the entire tournament for half an hour. Because I've seen that happen so many times. Jub made a video this past Riptide, after we've been doing Splatoon 3 for many years now in competitive Splatoon. So many DCs happened at the last Riptide with just the equipment we got. Throw in brand new equipment on top of the old cables. There's no way that's going to work. And you can't just constantly switch in and switch things out to accommodate whoever. We already do that. If you ever see somebody go to a help desk in a Splatoon LAN server and be like, can I play handheld in LAN mode? Technically, there is a way for you to play handheld in LAN mode. The TOs typically won't let you do it because the way to get it all set up and then the way they'll have to refigure it after you're done playing at every single station you go to is so cumbersome and is so much of a risk to the equipment that's there, they don't let you do it. So there's no way you're going to be switching docks in and out over the course of a tournament. There's absolutely no way that is going to happen. So let's say best case scenario. The best case scenario here, Splatoon, a Switch 1 happens to work on a Switch 2 dock. Okay, and then you get the overlords to donate a ton of Switch 2 docks because we're not going to have enough for everybody. Let's say that is a reality. I don't think that can even be done, but let's just pretend that is a reality where that can be done, where we got Switch 2 docks everywhere and you can put a Switch 1 and connect to it on it. That still likely will not work as intended because something we don't know and won't know for a good long time, can a Switch 1 on a LAN connection connect to a Switch 2 on a LAN connection without any jank? Do we have to put in a different cheat code on our controllers? We already have to put in a cheat code just to get in LAN mode. Is there a different setting you're going to have to use? Are they going to be compatible with each other? Are there going to be issues? I, as somebody who's just observed Splatoon LANs and seen the TOs lose about as much hair as I got left, I would willing to bet that they're not going to work with each other. So it's going to have to be everybody has to use a Switch 1 on a Switch 1 dock until Splatoon 4 comes out. I would be shocked if there was anything other than that. I see people showing up with a Switch 2 and not bring their Switch 1 and think they're going to get to play, but there's no way it's going to be able to happen. So that is the reality of LANs for probably the next 2 years, maybe longer than that. And that's going to be a frustrating battle because we are going to be playing competitive Splatoon for a couple more years on an obsolete console, or at least an older generation console. Now, if you're Smash Brothers, like we've been doing that for 2 decades now. We don't care. Like we're still playing Melee on CRTs. It doesn't really bother us that much. Completely understand. But Smash and Splatoon are not the same thing. As much as we like to make the comparison because we're right next to each other, it's a completely different animal. But that is the reality that we're looking at with LANs for the next couple of years. Whew. There's lots to think about with the future with Splatoon 4, if that is the thing that ever comes out. I will say this, though. When Splatoon 4 comes out, it's going to be amazing. Like, the game's probably going to be broken because they're going to add new special, and they're going to give it to the one weapon that paints the most and also splats the most. And it's like, why would you do this? No. But could you imagine Splatoon 4, 4K, 120 FPS. I don't think my 40-year-old brain will be able to comprehend. They'll have to like update my brain so that I can truly appreciate what Splatoon 4 is going to look like whenever it comes out. But that's down the road. My hope is that the barrier to entry is not going to be too high for Splatoon 4. That the price of everything just to get into a lobby is going to be way more expensive. That it's going to alienate some people and it's going to leave people out of it. And it's going to take a while for the player base to build up just because of how expensive it might be. So that's my hope. I'm not optimistic today, but, well, I haven't seen my 401k, but I think I've got a reason not to be optimistic about anything at this point. Still, Switch 2 looks pretty cool, not going to lie. Epic Pikachu, they're making a separate Japan region lock Switch 2. They'll be $340 at retail, likely as retaliation for the tariffs. Yeah, but that's like you have to fly to Japan to get that, right? Like you can't just order that online. Also, I don't want to sit here and talk about tariffs, but would the games be more expensive with that as well? I mean, I shouldn't be asking you guys that question because some of you will be like, well, I saw an article that said this. And it's like, I don't give two rats about whatever it is that you think. But just like physical, like if a physical got price increase, a digital copy wouldn't be affected by a tariff, would it? I don't know. These are dumb questions. Jordan Pye said this a long time ago. I didn't get back to it. This week, Vacation swept Heritage in a makeup match in their week 1 set. Okay, so a makeup match got set, but not a week 5 match in DivX got played. We're going to be taking your calls. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your thoughts on the Switch. I want to hear your thoughts on the future of competitive Splatoon. I want to hear your thoughts on LUTI as well. If you want to be a part of that, I am in the I'm in the IPL Discord server in the public chat. We're going to start a stage. Switch to Convo. Let's call it that. I'm not going to ping everyone. We're going to start that stage. You go to the IPL Discord server. You join that. VC, you raise your hand. We'll bring you on and we'll talk to you. Phone lines are open now. And while we wait for the phone lines to warm up, we're going to hop right into a very lengthy weekly recap. Paddling pool number 313 took place last Wednesday. It was won by Lazarus. Casablanca took second place, and Uprising, with a question mark in it, rounds out your top 3. That is the 13th paddling pool victory for Punchy. Devon 4K only has a measly 11, so they'll need to play some tournaments without Punchy if they want to catch up to the 13 they have. That's got to be a record. SOS number 183 was won by Me and My Girls. Healthy Diet Food Groups took second place, and Bonsai rounds out your top 3. That is the 16th SOS victory for Hershey. If you ever pull up Hershey's send-out profile, the screen literally lags because of how many tournaments that they've won. My goodness. There has to be some sort of thing where, like, if you get so many badges, you can exchange them for, like, a send-out buck or something like that. Like, there needs to be a badge exchange thing there. Because that is a lot of badges for somebody to have there. Hammerhead is won by Penn State University Blue. Mako Bracket was won by Hottest Dogs. And Lantern Bracket was won by Sajak Squids. Triton Cup number 100 took place on Friday. It was won by Foodies. El Drago took second place, in Camden brought home the bronze medal. 37 teams played in this tournament. It was a charity tournament that raised 475 euros for the French NGO, which has a goal of helping people in need by participating in the social and economic development of the socially excluded and by undertaking actions to fight against all types of poverty. Shoutouts to Dapple Productions and the Triton Cup 2 for 100th tournament. The 200th edition of Triton Cup will be funding the rebuilding of planet Earth after everybody's destroyed there. In the Zone, number 42, took place on Saturday. It was won by FT Win. Blues Clues took second place, and Edging to Victory took home third. Edging to Victory, believe it or not, is a better name than My Little Hinlow, which is by far the worst pickup team name ever. But Edging to Victory took third place there. Blues Clues was not Starburst. No Keo Chat, who kept updating the score, trying to tell us it was Starburst versus FT Win in Grand Finals. If they were Starburst, they would have named themselves Starburst. Instead, they named themselves after a show that I watched when I was a kid and rather enjoyed. Blues Clues took second place to FT Win, which is apparently still a thing. The Jauntlet, number 2, took place on Sunday. It was won by Lunchbox. Loxier took second place, in Yoddle Toddle rounds out your top 3. The Lunchbox win is not going to be recognized by the National Splatoon Podcasters Association due to their lack of LUTI participation. How are you going into Makeup Week with 3 more matches yet to play, Lunchbox, yet you have this magical availability to win a Jauntlet out of nowhere? I am not going to recognize it, as will anybody else in the National Splatoon Podcasters Association. Do your homework or you get no recess. The Jauntlet's awesome, by the way. Watched a little bit of it. Thought it was pretty cool. I know how much work goes into creating an invitational tournament. You might think, oh, it's so easy to send out an invite, to set it together. It's so easy. No, it's a lot of work, a lot of DMs, a lot of, hey, can we change this player 2 minutes before the tournament starts? Just bring in somebody completely not related to us at all, but we need a sub. Shout out to the crew for the Jauntlet, because nicely done there. CCA update, this time brought to you by many of the Big Fat Sea Cows. Division 1 of the CCA, the Big Fat Sea Cows got a 5-4 win over UCSD Esports Gold. San Diego's had a rivalry with everyone who's ever been a college team ever. Division 2, University of Houston, the H-Town Rebels, getting a preview of this match that they're going to be playing later tonight against Florida in basketball. This time they beat the University of California Banana Split team 5-4. And also in Division 2, Ohio State Octos in Squids United Scarlet got a 5-4 win over the Townsend Tiger Sharks. Division 3, Purdue boiled up with the wee aquatic little creatures and got a 5-0 sweep over the University of Nebraska Lincoln Creamed Corn. Collegiate Cruise at Riptide 2025 has been announced, being one of the largest in-person collegiate tournaments in North America. The CCA is returning to the Kalahari Resort to see which collegiate team will be taking home the crown in its 3rd year of running. If you're a university team heading to Riptide, consider signing up and joining for this historical event. Top 5 LUTI matches of the week. In Division 1, Poseidon got a 5-3 win over Cherry Wave. That essentially puts Poseidon into the playoffs and knocks Cherry Wave out, although there is a possibility I think they can still get in. Division 2, the $5 Comps got a 5-4 win over Orca Balestra. That was essentially a group championship match and went to a Game 9. Division 3, Operation Zero got a 5-4 win over the Solo Queue Demons. That solidifies Operation Zero as a 5-0 team heading into Div 3 playoffs. Div 4, Zephyus got a 5-4 win over Sagaro. Both teams should be making the playoffs there in Division 4. In Division 7, Sonata got a 5-4 win over Zero Magnum, which was essentially a playoff match. You lose Game 9, and now you're knocked out of the playoffs forever. Rough. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the Cactus Patch. Episode 30 took place last week with special guest, the J-Wits, a Pokemon YouTuber who just so happens to have 1.56 million subscribers. What a get for the Cactus Patch. The VOD of that is up on YouTube if you want to check it out. They were talking about the tournament that's going to be taking place this weekend, Gamers for Giving. Not to be outdone, the next episode of the Popcast is going to feature Matt Pat, who has since retired. But we're going to be bringing them out as well. If we're just bringing people back from the dead, you can have them. I'm going to have Matt Pat on next week. Check you. You're not going to outdo me. The Cactus Patch, the official sponsor today's segment of the Weekly Recap. All right. The time has come. It's been a while. But let's hear what y'all have to say. We are taking your calls. The phone lines are open in the IPL Discord server. We got 4 people with their hands raised. Feel free to join at any time and add to the queue. We're going to start off with a fan favorite here on the Popcast. Acing. Good morning.
Hello. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
All right. First, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Were you like jogging and then you just stopped on the side of the road? Here, you sound kind of
No,
caught off guard.
I was leaning back and I sat back up like. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Well, first off, before you say anything, I got some questions for you, being somebody who lives on the other side of the pond. The official price, can you pre-order a Switch 2 right now?
I think the pre-order's open in 20 minutes.
Okay. Can you, when you...
And I am like watching like a hawk on my emails right now, waiting for the invite.
Do you know what the price is for you?
Yes.
What is it?
So they're a lot more reasonable here than in basically a lot of other places. I think we have the best I think we have the best in Europe actually. It is £395 for not the bundle, so just the console, and then £429 for the Mario Kart World bundle.
Okay.
Which £399 to dollars USA.
It says
$500.
Google says about 503 US dollars.
That's pretty good. We have it pretty good. I know somewhere in, I think it was like Sweden or something, they had the prices actually increase after they announced the initial ones. So I don't know why it happened over there.
So they actually announced the price and then was like, actually no, it needs to be a little bit higher afterwards for Sweden.
I believe so. I think it was. I think there's a couple other countries. I don't know what they are, but I know Sweden specifically. I have a friend from Sweden who was looking at the prices and saw it go up. So that was weird. I don't know why, but
you at least get to pre-order it, and it goes. So
exactly.
Okay, so it goes live at midnight. There you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations on living in a not crazy part of the world, and a preemptive. I'm sorry, for what we're all doing to you guys over there. So what? Yeah. That was the end of my question. What do you have?
I don't really have a question. It's more just a couple of points I wanted to make.
Okay.
It's 2 actually. I'll try and make them quick. 1, I don't think we're going to see any use from the game chat feature, and in fact, I think it's probably going to be banned from use. I know in theory it's not really practically good, but it's still got some kind of advantages to it that you can't get from a Switch 1. And I think when you're across like a competitive game like this, that's cross-platform Switch 1 and Switch 2, having something exclusive to Switch 2 that could technically be an advantage, such as seeing your teammates' game screen, so you can see their special charge or something like that, or seeing like other people's positions when they die because you're looking at their screen. It's stuff that I don't think you should have access to or should be allowed to be used in tournament. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that at all, let alone people wanting to use it. I think it's probably going to be banned.
Let me hop in on that point before you go into your next one. I get what you're saying. I don't know. I know when the console first comes out, it's going to be a disadvantage because it's not going to work properly. But it follows the same concept, and people ask this a lot too. Can I mod my Switch to use a mouse and keypad? Is that tournament legal? And our answer is always no, and at a LAN, hell no. But there's no way for me to tell what you're using at home. Like, it's impossible for me to do that. So there's no point having a rule that says you can't mod your Switch to have a mouse and keyboard if there's no way for me to enforce it. Do you get any sense that there's any way to like tell if somebody's on a Switch 2 versus a Switch 1, unless they're just like streaming it?
I don't know. We probably won't know for a little while as well. Odds are we probably won't be able to tell, but more so I think it would probably be good to be just as a general rule of thumb to not use it. But
I
there's
mean,
no way you can enforce that, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I mean, ideally, that would make sense. But again, if there's no way to actually tell, it's impossible to enforce it. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of like Tommy is on Switch 2 right now. If there's like ways to play across right there, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be
Yeah.
weird all around the board. What was your other point?
My other point is there is a 0% chance we're gonna get an updated sort of like Splatoon 3 like re-release that has like better
Yeah,
stuff or something. The same goes for something like Smash. Probably the same goes for like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is shock horror. But competitive Nintendo games, you can't reasonably upgrade things like frame rate or graphics. The most you're going to get is maybe some more. If they were to do a Splatoon 3 sort of re-release in that sense, most you're probably going to get is some like quality of life maybe, and then some side order and salmon run. Like the salmon run frame rates aren't going to be as low, sort of thing. We're not going to get and actually any better graphics. It's going to stay 1080p. It's going to stay 60 FPS. So there's no point in it happening. It's not going to happen, therefore, because there's just not enough reason to do it.
yeah,
So people
and
expecting it are out of their minds.
even if they did it, like, would you be able to play an upgraded Splatoon 3 against somebody who's playing on a vanilla Splatoon
Yeah.
3? Like that seems like a logistical nightmare. So yeah, I think I agree with you that we're not going to see like that being an option. I
The
think we'll
issue
see a
there as
Splatoon
well.
4 before we do that.
Sorry.
Or
Oh,
a
yeah,
Splatoon 1
definitely.
remake. Maybe we'll see that.
Please.
That'd be the worst thing.
No, I think the issue is if you can play with people from the old Switch, you have an advantage because the frame rates and the graphics and stuff. If you can't, you're probably not going to be able to find enough people to play with.
Right.
So
Yeah.
matchmaking times are going to be longer. So
Yeah, a lot to think about. Even though
Yeah.
Splatoon was barely referenced during the direct, it's still all of this impacts the competitive scene a lot.
Yeah,
And I'm glad I'm not a LAN TO right now, for sure.
it's a
All right,
price.
so
Right.
you're
Thank you.
spamming your email, waiting for that opportunity.
I've clicked refresh like 3 times in the
Okay.
in the time I've been on this. So
Well, I'll let you go back to leaning back and clicking that mouse
thank
button.
you.
Get it pre-ordered and get some sleep, Acing. Always a pleasure to talk
Yeah,
to you.
sounds good. Yep. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Oh, why do I can't read your full name because I got this one thing on, but I can see everybody else's name. So first question is, I know you are IPL staff. Who are you?
I'm Tbob.
Tbob, there
I
you go.
help. Yeah, I help run SOS.
Congratulations.
Uh,
On my screen, you're just T dot dot dot, so I couldn't see the rest. But there you
yeah,
are, Tbob. What's up?
yeah. I really just had a point I wanted to make
Okay.
about LUTI. I am the coach, like full-time coach for a team you may know, Freak Force.
Yes.
Um, and I just wanted to say LUTI has been like the most motivated my team has ever been to play the game. And so like I just think it's really important, and I wanted to share. People who aren't playing LUTI are missing out.
Well, I would hope so for Freak Force. You guys have been beating the dog snot out of everybody in Division 6, 25-5 per games. I think I'd be pretty motivated if I was beating up people too. Is
It does feel good.
the is it like we need to win Div 6 or else kind of like is it championship or bust right now for Freak Force?
No, no. At the moment, we're really just focused on improvement, and the wins are just the result of that kind of mindset.
There we go. The wins are a symptom of success. Nicely done.
Yeah,
All right. Well, good luck to Freak Force going forward, and keep coaching them up.
yeah, thank you.
There we go. Some LUTI talk here. I said we could talk about anything. Splatoon related.
Hello.
Melodic.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. What you got?
So So last time there was a Popgun, I made a list of things I want to talk about.
Okay.
And saying hi was one of those, so I can cross that off.
There we go. Check.
Um,
What's next?
I have like 2 points. One
Okay.
of them is kind of about like pickup culture. I want to say it's been kind of on the back foot lately, but I'm not too sure how true that is. And my question to you is, should people be more open to play with off-meta weapons, or should off-meta weapon players just find the right people?
I think that you should play with whoever you're comfortable with, and if you're looking for something very specific, I'm not going to be the kind of guy that's be like, oh, just think outside the box and play with somebody else. I would rather play with somebody who's good instead of somebody who fits a certain weapon. If anybody didn't want to play with Enraged Jeff because they use the sploosh, you're a moron. I would rather just figure out how to work around a sploosh if it was in Enraged Jeff's kind of hands.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on that. As far as pickup culture being on a decline, I think that's just more so of a symptom of LUTI, where everybody wants to play with the team they're playing with LUTI to get more experience. But I think when LUTI fades off into the night, I think you'll see a lot more pickups start to rise up.
Okay. And then my second point is about LUTI. And I know you mentioned the set between Sagoro and Ziphius. But Kaleidoscope had to reschedule our week 4 match against Ziphius. So this week is the determining factor on who gets that second playoff spot, me or Ziphius. So
let's see, that's Division 4, correct?
Yes. We both have one loss.
So here's not to cut you off, but this is an interesting scenario, and I'll paint the picture for everyone. So Sagaro, Kaleidoscope, and Zephyus are all 3-1, all have one game left to play. Now let's see, Kaleidoscope, you guys have you lost to Sagaro.
Yes.
And you are playing Zephyus. So if you were to beat Zephyus, and who does Sagaro play? They play Tetris Effect, who's 2-2. Yeah, that's kind of a weird scenario. But no, you're right. If you win, you're in. Yes, that is the scenario. If you win, you're in. If you lose, there's still like some backdoor way you can get in. Actually, no. If you lose, you're automatically out because there's no way you could pass. So okay, so you're in a playoff match this week.
Yes.
Do you have a game plan specifically for Zephyus? Or are you just going to be like, F it, we ball, we're just going to roll out there and see what happens?
Well, I have been monitoring their sets over the weeks just to get a feel. I feel, because I'm a fan of them. I've been watching them for a while. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think our game plan is to just work around obviously work around their comps' disadvantages, but their comps are more unorthodox. So if we're able to exploit their specific weaknesses between the weapons that you don't usually see together, I think last time they had Wellstring and an Octobrush and some pair like that. So if we're able to take that weakness or weaknesses like those and exploit them to the max, we should have a chance. Or we can just run at them because that's kind of what we've been doing.
Or we could just punch them in the face. That works too.
Yeah, or just punch them in the face.
Well,
I'm really excited.
Well, good luck to you. You got a fun week ahead, or if you lose, a not so fun week ahead. But regardless, enjoy that, and you come on anytime.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna get through everybody. This last person who signed jumped on, whose name I can't read. You're gonna be the last person. But I saw Krill Streak join the list as well, and of course we can't end the episode if Krill Streak wants to talk. Siku got kicked out. What did Siku get kicked out of?
Siku got kicked out of our land pickup. This is just our land pickup group's team name. I'm Stara.
Stara, okay. Hey, you were the person on Blue Sky who was like, what can I talk about, right?
Yeah, I was very curious, but I do have something to talk about because I did want to talk about LUTI, and this is going to sound biased, and sorry if I sound distracted while saying this. I am in a Sendoku set. But this is gonna sound biased because I am on a Div 1 team that is currently losing all of their sets. But I do think that this was a very well seeded season because I don't think there's a single Div 1 team that wouldn't 9 times out of 10 beat any Div 2 team. And I say that even with the strongest Div 2 teams like $5 comps out there. And even like, and this, it's also gonna sound a bit arrogant as well, and I apologize but I team with some of these players as well occasionally. My land pickup group is full of like people in Div 2, and I think they're stronger than me even. But I do think any given Div 1 team would, and this goes for every Div, I think any given Div 2 team would 9 times out of 10 beat a Div 3 team. Any given D3 team would 9 times out of 10 beat a D4 team. I think this is one of probably the best seeded seasons yet.
Well, first off, as a member of the Seeding Council, you're welcome. Second off, what's the score of your set right now?
We are currently 0-4.
Why are you? Wait, 0-4. It's just the best of 7, right?
Oh no! Oh wait, I thought you were talking about in LUTI.
No,
like,
what's your send out Q set you're playing
right
now?
We're 3-0 up. We're 3-0 up, but we're losing.
Oh, okay. So you're up 3-0, and you're just like, F it, I'm just gonna leave VC and I'm gonna talk to this guy on the podcast.
No, we haven't VC'd at all. One of our players doesn't even have access to Discord.
Fair enough. All right. Well, close out that set, get the sweep, and good luck in the rest of Division 1 because you still got one more match to play. Hey, everyone in your group might drop. You might still make playoffs. It's a possibility.
True. There's always a chance.
Magic Beans, are you currently playing a Sindao set right now?
No.
All right.
No, I'm not. Hi, Popgun. How are you doing on this fine evening?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. What you got?
Okay, nice. Not gonna talk about us. I want to talk about the Switch too, and just competitive Splatoon in general. Do you think the new control scheme with the mouse is gonna affect how Splatoon 4 is gonna turn out?
That looks using the. If they give you a way to actually have like a wired mouse, I'd buy into it. Using the Joy-Con as a mouse, I don't know about that. I don't know how that's going to work. Now, when I first transitioned off of sticks into motion controls, I used detached Joy-Cons, and that was pretty cool. I think detached Joy-Cons is actually pretty legit because the right Joy-Con is just like a point-and-click adventure kind of thing. Eventually, I got more used to the Pro controller, and that's obviously what I use right now, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the mouse as the Switch Joy-Con being the mouse. I'm not so sure about that.
All I'm going to say is that when it comes to it, I don't think it's going to be much of a difference because of the fact that when it comes to controls and such, having motion controls versus mouse and keyboard is surprisingly very, very like close. A good video to watch is a TF2 video of Solar Light, who like talked about motion controls and such. I think ProChar even mentioned it as well, that video as well. But I digress. I don't think it's going to do much of a impact on the competitive scene, but I feel like soon we're going to start seeing chargers do like a 720 flick off of rail with a mouse and wrists broken.
Well, kind of to your point that you're making, I've seen an actual mouse setup at a LAN before. They weren't allowed to play in the tournament with it, but like on a side station, they just had it set up for people to see it. And every mouse player that I've talked to has basically said this is worse than a controller. They just use it for accessibility reasons. And I don't know, like, I haven't personally played a mouse before, and who knows, like, the official Nintendo version of it is going to be like. But, yeah, I think there is some truth to the fact, just because of how much movement you have to do in the game, that just, like, holding Joy-Cons or, like, Joy-Cons or joysticks in your hand just seems more natural than that. And, again, until there's a wired version, I'm not going to trust that Joy-Con as a mouse. That's my take on that. But... yeah. We'll see how it goes. I completely forgot about the mouse thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Off topic, if you want to know how we're doing on LUTI, we finished our matches 3-2. We're not in playoffs though. That's one thing I want to mention.
You wanted to mention that?
Yeah, I just want to mention that. That's
You
all
want
I
it? Why? Why would you want to?
Why
mention
not?
That?
Why not? I think our opponents.
Because
were
you're a
too
loser.
good.
That's why.
Oh,
Why would
okay.
you
And
wanna
I'm not
come
allowed
on
to
here?
take it with pride. I'm not allowed to take it with pride. I'm allowed to say 3-2. I think we did fine. We did throw a little bit at the start, but honestly, our opponents were fantastic. They're good. One of them were winners of Low Ink recently. I'm pretty sure Splatoon 4 we win. I think.
Oh, you're in the group of death with like Poor Judgment and all that. Yeah, that group was insane. I saw Poor Judgment and Wax.
Yeah.
Splatoon 4,
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Oh, I love Latinas as well. Yeah. Yeah, you were in a rough group.
Rough group, but I think they were great opponents, and that was fun. It was fun while. That's all I wanted to mention before I make my grand exit.
All right. Well, you mentioned it. You come back on anytime, but next time, come on and tell us about your success. All right, that's all I care about. Gosh, I want to let you all know that we are not making playoffs.
All right, it's my turn.
It's your turn. Good morning. What you got?
Well, it's just, I guess I'll start with my LUTI results. I've been quite stressed out after week 4 because it's like, are we making playoffs or not? Because I'm in a group of 5, and I'm just waiting for the opponent's sets to do that, and I'm like, tell us we made playoffs or not. I'm so stressing.
But, you need everybody to finish up their sets first.
Yeah,
so you kind of have a set.
I mean, we've gone 2-2, so I'm proud of what we've done.
You're 2-2 in a 5-team group. What division you in? 10?
Yeah, we're Div 10. Sorry
America
to disappoint.
or world?
Div 10 Worlds. Sorry.
And your team name is not Eternal Bloom?
It is Eternal Bloom.
It is. I see. You're in the top one. Okay, so you got Splat.exe and Silly Pods, who are both undefeated.
We need Silly Pods. Unfortunately, I don't think 3.1 Splat Diamond Delta can beat Silly Pods unless I've given tips to Splat Diamond Delta, but it's how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm just calculating in my head. So you need a 3-way tie of teams that are 2-2, and probably some other shenanigans to happen with that.
I'm still proud of our placement.
Yeah.
Like, whatever happens.
You know what? In all honesty, first LUTI season, if you just win something, if you just win a set, you're like, yes, something to build off of. My team's first LUTI season, we only got wins off of drops, so there's
our plans for the future are the Low Ink and the LSL, and I'm basically trying to show to them, hey, I don't think I'm Div 10. But I've asked around. I've asked like 2 top players, like Siku, you know that Siku person you talked to? She said I'm around D7.
Okay. Well. And
I spoke to a Div X player who invited me to a Sendo Q set with him, which is like insane. His name was Azad.
Zach?
Azad? No, Azad.
Oh, Azad. Okay.
Mickey Mouse House.
Oh, you played a set with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, like that was just insane. So like, but yeah, sorry, that's my point. We lost 3-4, but he said I was around 6-7, and I was like, what? But yeah, that's just the goal to prove. We're trying to prove we're not in Division 10.
Well, you're I mean, the point is to improve, and the only way to improve is to continue playing. It sounds like you're doing all the right things to improve.
Thank you for inviting me on for your talk show.
Yes, thank you for coming on. You come on anytime, all right?
Thank you, bye-bye.
There we go. All right. 2 more, then we'll call it a day. Your friend and mine, Camo of Krill Streak, welcome on.
Hello, Mr. Popgun. How are you doing today?
You already know.
I already know.
How's it going?
Literally was about to say that. I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully coming in here to say you've been here long enough to know not to choose Krill Streak in draft. Is that correct?
in draft?
In draft, or for the draft league, yeah.
What draft league are you talking about? You know I've been around so long that there's been gazillions of draft leagues.
It's true. This year's LUTI season, no? People gotta stop voting for us as the favorites. Like, it's just because we're going to do incredibly, but we're not going to make it through playoffs.
They vote for you because they like you. There's nothing wrong with that.
We're happy to remain as the sweethearts.
And when they look at Division 7, I don't know who Killer Blues is, even though they're making the playoffs. Double Bubble, that's not an actual thing. Like, of course I'm going to vote for Krill Streak.
We have been fighting left and right with Double Bubble and Killer Blues, and they put in the time to beat us. It was incredibly fun to bookend our set with those two, and I've been having a blast.
Hold on now. Your 3 losses are 3-5, 3-5, and 4-5. What do we have to do to get y'all to clutch some stuff out here? You should be 5-0.
Well, the good news is, finally, after 7 years of existing, I think it's our 7th anniversary on, I think, the 12th, we have a coach.
Oh, who's your coach?
We got somebody who is just as tenured as us, getting Rav from Black Squid Ink Burgers.
Oh, okay. Believe I've met that person in person before. I think I've given that person a ride from the Austin airport to LTC, if I'm not mistaken.
That would check out. Ravioli's a local. Maybe so, maybe so.
Been to, did you meet them at Riptide?
Correct. Met him at actually LTC, and then we continued to like make friends with the Black Squid Ink Burger squad, and at the time in Riptide we were like, yeah, we're kind of looking for a coach, and then it took, the glacier pace that Krill Streak does to finally reach out and be like, hey, we really want to try and improve a little bit here. Sadly, we caught him like in the middle of LUTI, but I feel like we've improved substantially since, and even our results are showing that, starting with a 2-3 loss, or a 2-5 loss, then a 3-5 loss, then a 4-5 loss. All right, next time for sure.
This, getting over that hump is kind of tricky, but did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I just want to say, Div 7 low level, y'all have been so stylish and fun to work with. I feel like a lot of teams are putting effort into making like graphics for themselves and applying that brand with this LUTI season.
Yes.
That like I'm really having a run for my money, and I'm excited about it.
I always like the low ink teams because it seems like it's a requirement to have an artist on your team who actually makes like graphics and stuff. And whenever, we're recruiting, here's this fancy little recruitment post that we made. It's always cool seeing that stuff. You mentioned 7-year anniversary. I have here the Destiny Troop, everything that Destiny Troops has ever done. I always written it down. We played you guys in the SAAC opener in January of 2020. That was a ladder tournament. We played you
5 years ago.
We 3-0'd you, and I remember I probably still have the recording of that set, like the actual VOD of that set on my old PC. Because I remember y'all were using a Hydra with like thermal ink or something like that. And I remember being like so pissed off at the Hydra's build at the time. And I was just like...
And we keep having a Hydra with thermal ink. Previously
it was thermal ink.
Now it's Mart. Yep.
Well, there you go. How many players do you think have put on a Krill Streak uniform over the course of the years?
18 total, and everybody is still like into what we're doing.
You got a clan at that point, essentially.
Pretty much.
What's your LAN schedule for this year?
Given the whole, Switch 2 situation, everything's a little up in the air, but we're definitely making it out to Riptide. We are the first, and I think first of 2 at the time that I last saw, full teams to be applied. So we are ready to go.
Early bird special, take advantage of that. All right, then.
Exactly.
We'll see you there, and you'll get to see all the cool new features that PJ has developed over the course of the year.
Oh, he's evolving. How exciting.
He is. He's not learned any new like attack moves yet. Actually, no, I'll take the bet. He's learned Bite, but he hasn't learned Crunch yet. So we're kind of thankful
all right,
for
we'll
that.
take it. No defense drops in this house. Excellent.
You come on anytime, Camo. You and your crew are always welcome around here.
Thanks for sticking around.
And we got one more to go with, and I cannot read your name, so this is just total crapshoot if this is going to be good or bad or not.
Hello, Popgun. I would like to say one thing about the Switch 2. 700 Canadian dollars.
Okay, that's all you wanted to say?
And I wanted to also say good luck to everyone in LUTI. Win your sets, go on to playoffs if you're able to, and win them.
All right. Who are you?
Sundew.
Sundew.
This is like an old pickup name that I haven't cleared, so.
Okay, well, thank you for the Canadian update. be sure to keep us more update as things go along with Canada.
I will in general chat sometimes. So
let's go. $700 in Canada bucks. We can't miss an opportunity to talk to Half, can we? Even though I said we weren't going to bring on anyone else. What do you got, Half?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Wait. So it's this Switch 2 combo, right?
You can talk about anything if the topic's been switched, but also LUTI.
LUTI. Oh yeah, the Moonlight versus Floater set.
Yes.
We haven't even. I don't even know. We haven't scheduled it. I have 2 big exams this week, so it's gonna be great.
Okay. The set against Black Lotus, is that actually going to take place, or is that just?
No clue. No clue. Honestly. Yeah, last week it's just like EUNA and like timing and like so that's why it wasn't scheduled. But like, I have no idea honestly.
Okay, so you wanted to come on here just to tell me you don't know anything.
No. I did want to give my opinion about the Switch 2 though.
Go ahead.
All right, so I will say price-wise, it definitely is on the higher end, especially game-wise, like reaching $70, $80. I mean, honestly, as we know it, even without like economy, anything, blah, blah, as more people gain money, price, everything is going to go up. Some things may fluctuate, but especially because of how popular video games are, companies are going to make the video games more popular. I think Nintendo almost kind of is well, Xbox and PlayStation are doing it, so why can't we do it? So that's also a thing. I think I will say, I know a lot of people complain about the Mario Kart price, but if you just buy the bundle, especially if you want Mario Kart, it's just I'm pretty sure it was just $60 for Mario Kart. So I think that's fine. But $80 for Switch games, I'll probably be buying less of them because it's just a lot of them. I'll have interest and I'll just lose interest. So, yeah.
Anyway, for me personally, there's nothing that they showed that would make me want to get the Switch 2 right ahead. I will say this, I didn't mention this earlier. I liked all the third-party developers that they kind of showed off, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of cool things to come out for it later. But, yeah, I feel like the price of the console and the games, I feel like Nintendo's going to feel people kind of push back against that. And, well, maybe eventually they'll put some games on sale or Gamer's Choice Editions like they did with the GameCube stuff.
Mm-hmm. I know. I don't know. I'm not really interested in all the other games. I tried playing the original Paper Mario, and I just could not get into it for some reason. So
you had to be there. I mean, Ocarina of Time is a fantastic game, but if you didn't grow up with it and you go from Breath of the Wild to it, it's not going to be a fun time. I completely understand that. But if you were there when Paper Mario came out, actually, no, wait, screw you. The original Paper Mario is totally awesome. It is aged extremely well. What's wrong with you?
Well, no, I'm just okay, so I think the last time I played it, I was in, oh my gosh. I feel like I just beat the desert world. I don't know what world's after the desert world. Oh, it's the one you go to the when you go into the haunted place?
Yes.
No,
you go to the Boo's Mansion.
No, it's the haunted place.
The Gusty Gulch.
Yeah, I think I just stopped there. I think it was also because I had other games I wanted to play. Like Mario Rabbids clears a lot of games, by the way. Most underrated game of all time, by the way. But no, I don't know. It just felt like clunky and old, and I feel like I just play Color Splash. I love Color Splash. Color Splash is such a fun game. It's just so silly and fun.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Popcast. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any ways, please feel free to reach out at my socials below. Discord at Popgun, YouTube at 25 Popgun, Twitch at Popgun 25. You are not going to come onto this show and tell me that freaking Color Splash is better than the N64 Paper Mario. We are not doing that here. We're calling it an episode today. We'll talk to you at some point next week. Oh, we're going to try to do a special guest to talk about some LUTI staff stats coming on for next week, so stick around for that. We'll see you then.